So we are on United Airlines Flight 27 with service from Denver to London. We are actually headed to see the Eras tour, but I did not see many videos of this flight on YouTube, so I am here to review the service with you guys. I feel like what better way to kick off a luxury travel channel than to do it in United Polaris. So with that, when I got into Denver, we had a pretty long ground stop, which means I did not get to when I got into Denver, we had a pretty long ground stop, which means I missed a lot of the pre-boarding and I did not get to create any intro for you guys. So some of this will be a voiceover, especially since this is my first time really reviewing a flight. So just keep that in mind and bear with me because it has been a hectic day. With that, let's head off to London. Now, off the bat, here's a pro tip. When selecting a Polaris business class seat, you always want to go for those bulkhead seats because they have the larger footwells. On the 787-10, those are going to be the seats found in rows 1. On the 787-9, those are going to be the seats found in rows 1 and 9. Be aware that the window seats in rows 5 are misaligned, so I would avoid those seats at all cost. Furthermore, the odd-numbered rows with respect to the seats are closer to the window, and with respect to the middle are closer together. So keep that in mind if you are traveling solo or with a companion. The even number seats face towards the aisle and tend to have a little bit less privacy. So I would always go for those odd numbered rows if you can. When you arrive at your seat, you are greeted with United's signature Saks Fifth Avenue bedding and amenity kit. You are given 2 pillows, a duvet, a day blanket, and on this flight, you can request a mattress topper. However, I'd recommend you do this as soon as you board, as once you are in the air, they can run out like they did on this flight. Now today we are flying in seat 1 Alpha. The Polaris business class seat is arguably the best business class seat on a domestic US carrier. All of your controls will be found on your left side close to the window. This green light that you see here will indicate whether your seat is in the proper position for takeoff and landing. Green means you're good, red means you need to move the wheel towards you. Speaking of this wheel, you can also use it to control the position of your seat. Pushing the wheel away from you will recline the seat and vice versa. You can also use the other controls here to move individual parts of the seat as well. Lastly, you have buttons that control your side light and your do not disturb light. Now, once you've settled in, you will be offered a pre-departure beverage. Of course, I opted for the champagne. I was a little bit disappointed that glassware was not used for the pre-departure beverage on this flight. Instead, we got plastic flutes. At this time, you'll also be able to look over the menu for your flight as well as the wine list. However, I suggest pre-ordering as there will be more options available. You can do this 7 days before departure as well as 48 hours before departure. With that said, let's enjoy departure. Now that we are on our way to London, let's get an idea of what's in store for us. The infotainment center will give you the events in store for your flight upon setup. After departure, we will have our first meal service, followed by lights out, a snack, followed by lights on, a second meal service, and finally, our arrival. United has a pretty extensive list of TV shows and movies that are constantly being refreshed, as well as some shows from HBO Max. That being said, my favorite show, and just like that, has been removed, but they do have shows like Big Little Lies, which is nice. Because my favorite show is gone, I opt for the Inflight Entertainment map and listen to music. By the way, Wi-Fi on this flight will cost $18.99 for the entire flight, or 1,900 miles. You can also go ahead and select shorter durations for less money. I will need Wi-Fi on this flight because I will be listening to music and scrolling through TikTok using my VPN. If you'd like to get an idea of what the entertainment looks like on your flight, I've posted a link that should have most of the current options available. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what's in our amenity kit. Now, United has these new Therabody amenity kits that replaced the older Away amenity kits. Personally, I was a little bit bummed out to not get the cute little suitcase that they used to have, but we still have some goodies in this amenity kit. When you open your kit, you will find a pair of grippy socks, an eye mask for sleeping, a dental kit, earplugs, soft tissues, a United branded tiny pen, and lastly, you'll get TheraFace, which includes a towelette, lip balm, hand cream, hydrating mist, and an eye serum. With that said, I'm a little thirsty, and I think I hear the wine cart. The first meal service starts off with warm nuts and the wine cart. For now, we'll go ahead and stick with the champagne, but don't worry, we will taste all of the wines a little bit later. For the appetizer, I got the lemon zest prawns, which tasted a lot better than it looked. My favorite part of this dish was combining the gremolata with the prawns and the garlic bread, because who doesn't love garlic bread? All in all, this appetizer is nothing to write home about, but it was not bad. Now, I think it's no secret at this point that catering on any US airline is, well, below par if we're being honest compared to what's out there. That being said, I personally feel that on United Airlines, if you go with the beef or a higher fat meat, that's a generally safe option. For example, their vegan meatball was actually pretty good. On this flight, I got the Asian braised short rib, and it really did not disappoint. I was able to tear the meat apart with my spoon, which is always a good sign, and it wasn't dry at all. I could, however, have done without the sweet potato cakes. After dinner, the ice cream sundae cart comes by. Now, I am lactose intolerant, so I don't really do ice cream. But because this is one of the most raved parts about the flight, I decided to try it. Kept it simple with fudge and a cherry, and honestly, it's ice cream. It wasn't bad. Now, at this point in the flight, there is something that is a trend that bothers me during this part of the service, but I'm going to save that for the end. So meal service has just concluded. You've heard my thoughts in the voiceover, but the sun is about to set and they're going to black out all of the shades soon. I'll give you more on that on the end. But now we are going to get into the wine tasting once we get to dusk. So I'm super excited about that. Overall though, incredibly smooth flight besides me spilling something on myself and then knowing I'm going to be wearing this to the Eras tour as well. I have no idea what I'm thinking about. So either way, let's continue on our journey to London. We have about 6 hours and 30 minutes left. And I feel like this flight's already going by too fast. Now it's time to talk about the wine. On this flight, United offers 3 options for red wine, 2 options for white wine, 1 rosé, and 1 champagne. Now, United doesn't have a formal wine tasting, and they don't really train their flight attendants on the wines in my experience. However, you are able to request to try them all, which is why I kind of call it a DIY wine tasting. However, when I did that on this flight, the flight attendant simply invited me to the galley to pour the wines myself. Now look, I'm bougie, but I'm also down to earth. In her defense, she looked very tired, and I think in this world, compassionate and understanding go a long way. And I have no problem pouring my own wine for obvious reasons. I will say that on my flight back, I was served formally though. So, let's talk about these wines. They're pretty basic, if we're gonna keep it real. Although I'm not a red wine person, the Pinot Noir was my favorite because of the body. However, all of the red wine options are pretty dry. Now, I say dry like that's a bad thing, but it's only with red wines for me. Ya boy loves himself some dry white wines, and the French white really stood out to me. The rosé also took me by surprise because it was dry, and that was the first dry rosé I ever have had. That being said, the champagne remained my favorite on this flight. So with that, we have concluded the wine tasting, and it is now time for us to prepare for bed. Now, I am not the type to make our flight attendant make our bed for us, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will see you guys when we wake up for meal service. But I will show you the bed. When I tell y'all, I just woke up. We got about an hour left in this flight, and I thought I missed breakfast. My heart was hurting, but we are all good. We got our breakfast. It's looking really good. So we're going to enjoy our last 55 minutes in Polaris. When we get on the ground in London, I'll let you know what I think about this flight. See you soon. Now, although we are on approach, our adventure isn't over yet. We still have the arrival lounge to check out. That being said, I wanted to talk to you about my biggest complaint on the flight. After departure, the flight attendants like to take control of the electronic windows on the 787, dimming them and locking out the passengers. I understand that this is a long-haul flight and some people may want to sleep. However, and maybe I'm wrong for this, the window seat comes with certain privileges, and when you're paying $4,000 to $8,000 for the seat, you should have those privileges. Furthermore, they do offer eye masks on this flight for anybody who is sensitive to the light and does want to sleep. And also, we cannot forget that not everybody wants to sleep. For example, on my flight home, I needed to stay up the entire time because I was going to arrive home at a normal time. So falling asleep would have made my sleep schedule much worse than it could have been. And when I asked the flight attendant about this, she was just like, well, it's so bright in the cabin, yada, yada, yada. And my question is, what do you do on a 777 where the passenger actually maintains full control of the windows? Flight attendants should keep their hands off the window controls. If they would like to dim them, that's fine. But if a passenger sees it dimming and wants to turn it back up, they should be allowed to do so. With that, let's go ahead and check out the arrival lounge. All right, so our trip has not ended yet. We have just entered the arrival lounge at the Queen's Terminal, Terminal 2. And yes, we have gotten access to the showers. I have no reason to do this except for actually doing it because I could really check into my hotel right now, but like, this is awesome. I can't believe this. All right, I gotta show y'all, okay? All right, so we got the shower. Really nice tile. Did really good work there. Black tile, we have this like wood pattern going on here. Of course, the toilet. I have all my luggage right there. And then, hey, there we are. So it's a little small, but it's amazing. And they give us slippers, but nonetheless, I am 100% ready for a shower in cold water because I have been sweating all day since I got to the airport. So I will see you guys out in the lounge for food. Okay, so I just got done with my shower, but I figured I would show you guys the soaps that they have in here as well. They smell really good. They got the job done. They also gave us this little United Amenity Kit with some Q-tips, cotton balls, and a nail file. I have no idea I think this is a shower cap. And they also gave us a toothbrush, toothpaste. They also gave me some slippers, but I have some from the airplane and I did not need those, but these are good shower shoes if you need them. And of course, a bunch of towels. They also have a hair dryer right here, which because it is super hot, we are not about to do that, but it is there if you need it. That was my first time showering in an airport, and it was the coolest thing in the world. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, while Heathrow does offer an arrival lounge, it reminded me more of a little pit stop lounge. The food options in the arrival lounge were pretty basic, mostly grab and go. And when I arrived, it was at breakfast, so I did enjoy this little egg-filled pastry, but there wasn't too much to talk about for the most part. It's not like a business class lounge, if that's what you are expecting. However, you can only get access if you are flying international business class. With that being said, let's go ahead and head out to the London edition for my final thoughts.
Is that you're gonna think about tonight.
I literally walked into the room to this. Look at this. Look at how awesome this is. Taylor Swift bag for the Eras tour. They made me 2 friendship bracelets, a cookie, a nice special note, and the Eras tour is playing. Okay, so I have been in here for about 2 hours now, and I just found out that there's a letter with my name on it. So I thought I was going to be able to give you my final thoughts on video when I got to the edition in London, but some things happened that did not make that possible that I may discuss in our next upcoming video. But long story short, my thoughts on the flight are simple. If I had to choose a domestic US carrier to fly business class on, it's going to be United. Their hard product is simply one of the best in my opinion. Now, there are some areas that I think they can improve. I think that the catering 100% needs to be improved, not just with the food quality, but also consistency in catering. This isn't just something on business class flights, like running out of the mattress topper, but this is also an issue on domestic flights that are first class flights where they don't necessarily have all the options. It would also be awesome to see an improved wine selection on United Airlines for that business class flight, and then also better training with respect to the wines so that the flight attendants can provide a proper experience in that regard, since you are still paying a comparable price to international carriers that do that as well. Lastly, when it comes to the Boeing 787, it would be awesome for the flight attendants to keep their hands off of the windows. If you are paying for a window seat, that is your privilege to control your window. And if other passengers have a problem with that, then they should use the provided eye mask in the Amenity Kit. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give me a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, and stay tuned for our next video where we take a tour around London and talk a little bit about how the Eras Tour went. Remember, every day airplanes take off against the wind. Keep climbing, stay inspired, and as always, stay fabulous. I'm Sydney. I'll see you next time. Peace out.